Okay, so how do we use all this? We've worked all this time on this side of the equation. Now we understand what a need is. We understand what innovation is, first off. And we understand what a need is. We understand what an unmet need is. We've captured them all. We have 150 different needs here in priority order of which are unmet. And we know the top 5, the top 10. Now, how does this change idea generation? Well, it changes it dramatically. In fact, it renders brainstorming obsolete. Now, think about brainstorming. What is brainstorming? Sitting around and I'm sure you've all done this, coming up with ideas. What's the metric of success in a brainstorming session? Yeah, the number of ideas. That's pretty much it. The number of ideas is the measure of success. If you only came up with 50 ideas, gosh, last week we came up with 150, so you guys must stink. You know, the measure of success has been number of ideas. 400 ideas is better. 500 is great. Now, what happens after you've come up with those 500 ideas?
Sifting and sorting.
Someone has to sift and sort. And has any of you ever had that job of sifting and sorting through those? How do you sift and sort? What you're trying to do is say, which of these ideas help customers get a job done better and address their unmet needs? But of course, you didn't think of it that way back then. So you're sitting there going, I think I like this one. This seems to make sense. Or you know, that's something I could use. So that's good. Or we could do this one. So why don't we put that in our product plan? And you start making decisions for the wrong reasons. And that's the way a lot of products get generated and put in product plans. Well, we're saying, let's not do that. That's the old-fashioned way. What we want to do, since we know that there's a certain set of unmet needs, why don't we sit around and just brainstorm a solution for that unmet need? Right? We know we're trying to increase the percent of plants that come out of the ground at the same time. Why don't we just focus on that? Let's come up with solutions that do that. And we want to find the one solution that does that for little cost, little effort, development effort, and little technical risk. And the idea that can do those things, that's the one we want to go pursue. Does that make more sense? We want one idea. We don't want 500. We want the one that we know is going to create value. The other thing that we notice in typical brainstorming, you start brainstorming different features that can go on the current platform. You brainstorm new platforms. You brainstorm features that could go on new platforms. You brainstorm new business models, all at the same time. Anyone experience that? It all comes out at the same time. There's no discipline in terms of what kind of idea that you're looking for. Now, on the last chart, I showed you that if you're trying to come up with features to go on the core platform, and you know that there's certain outcomes that are unsatisfied, and you want features to go on the core platform, then that's how you should set up your idea generation session and say, we're looking for features to go on the core platform. We don't want new business model ideas. We don't want new platform ideas, because we don't need them for this session. All right? So only one type of idea is generated at a time. Platforms, if that's what we need. Business models, if that's what we need. Features, if that's what we need. And the difference in doing it this way versus the old way is just incredible, because now you've focused you have all the same kind of ideas on the table at the same time. The other point I want to make here is we structure this in a certain sequence. Platforms first. There's no reason to brainstorm features to go on a brand new platform if management has not approved of that platform. There's no reason to brainstorm features on a new platform if management hasn't approved a business model that platform's proven to make money and management approves of that. So going about it in this order makes great sense. And the other thing that we've got upcoming is just in creativity. Most people say that process stifles creativity. We certainly think that's not true. In fact, I think process can enhance creativity. And what we call creativity is this mental process by which you make this connection between all these solutions and these needs. Creativity is what allows you to figure out which of these is best given all the unmet needs. Okay? Let's just give a quick example. Skill-Bosch won an innovation award with this back in 2004. Circular saw market seems pretty mature. Let's say it's been around for quite a while. You know, cutting a straight wood in a straight line has been a job that's been around quite a bit. But we went through the process, understood the job that the customer's trying to get done, captured the outcomes, found some opportunities, and then systematically started brainstorming solutions that address them. And I'll just give a couple of examples here. They actually put about 8 different features on here. I'll just show you 2. But 3 of the outcomes: minimize the cost of repair due to cut cords. Because even though they're professionals, I guess they run through their cords quite a bit and cut them, and that causes a little problem. Then they want to minimize the likelihood of the cord snagging the material. You know, like when you take the cord and you tie it in a knot, and then you drag it around, and every time you're making that cut, it gets stuck on this piece of wood, or that gets stuck on everything. They also want to minimize the likelihood of dropping the saw and lowering it to the ground from a ladder. They use it as kind of an extended handle to drop it down a story or 2. Now, they said, well, we could use that hedge trimmer idea where you take the cord off the hedge trimmer and just plug the extension cord straight in, right? Have any of you seen those before? And the problem with that, of course, is what? Well, when you're leaning over the hedge at the highest point, that's when the cord falls out in the ground and you got to get off the ladder and go plug it back in and do it over again. Well, these guys are lowering this circular saw from a ladder, so we can't let this happen. So recognizing this, they said, well, let's take that idea, even though it doesn't work as designed, why don't we come up with a solution that does work? So they came up with this direct connect system. They remove the cord from the device, and they wrap it around a certain fashion. They've patented this. They're the first company to do this. Now, this is kind of amazing, isn't it? It's 2004. They're the first ones to do this in this field. Why do you think they didn't do it before? The bottom line is they didn't know it was an unmet need. That's the bottom line. They didn't know it was an unmet need. Did they already think of something like this? Yeah, I mean, the engineers are sitting around, and I would say probably every one of your companies, there's people in your company that have probably thought of every possible feature you can add to your current platforms. All right. And you just don't know which one to go pursue because there's so many of them and you're not sure which of the needs are unmet. But that's one of them. From a product cost standpoint, what did that do to that product? Took it down. They just saved a couple bucks, right? So that's an interesting point. Another one here, minimize the amount of debris that's thrown up into the user's face, and then minimize the likelihood of inadvertently moving off the cut path. Now, if you've used circular saws, you know that as you're making your cut, the sawdust piles up on the cut line as you're going through it, and then you can't see it, so then you got to go down and blow the dust off of it, and it reveals it and blows the dust up into your face. So they said, well, why don't we take the air that's flowing out the side of the motor and redirect it down towards the front at the cut line and away from the user's face, so it just clears the path as you go. Well, that was another one, another innovation. First time that has been done in that product area. Again, why hadn't it been done before? Well, they weren't sure what a need was, which were unmet. There wasn't agreement that that was an unmet need. So it goes back to some very basics. When you're trying to solve this equation, and let me ask you this, on any project that you ever worked on, was there anyone in your company that knew all the customer's needs? Probably not, right? That's what I see you saying. No, there's not. And as a result, that guessing game goes on, and that's part of the problem.